in the loom up front here, you're going to see 4 wires that aren't labeled. There's a couple sets of brake switch wires here. So you see there's 2 green with the yellow tracer and 2 all black. And this is fairly easy. It's going to match right up to your OEM brake switches. So I'm just going to take the green, plug it in, take a black, plug it in, and I have another one that's coming out of the harness here. Take the black, plug it in, and same thing. Now if you have stock handlebars, which a lot of people do not, I'm going to bring these up for you. The loom comes with extremely long wires. So these you probably won't need to use because the majority of people have a drag handlebar or a lowered handlebar. Once you get everything squared away, you can also cut these off, but make sure that they are not touching because the harness requires both wires to touch in order for the brake switch to be activated and the bike to turn on. So you just make sure that they're separated and you're using the brake switches that you hooked up. So even though these look like they're not a big deal, the brake switches play a big part with the Atr harness. Not only is it part of your starting for the bike, it requires the brake switch to be engaged, but also it works your brake light. A lot of times, if your brake switch goes bad, you might notice that your bike not start because this harness runs off a clear Icebox Relay, which I'll show you in a few minutes. If that light isn't on, normally the issue could be that it's 1 a ground or 2 your brake switch has gone bad, which your OEM brake switch is right here, and on your ride control it's right here, which this one could potentially be bad because you can see it's almost dry rotted out. So I showed you how I plugged in the CDI earlier. Again, just like the rectifier, I'm going to take it apart, run the wires through here, and plug it back in. And I'm doing this because I'm going to zip tie this also to the frame here. And just like the starter relay and the flasher, it has this little groove that I'm going to slide the zip tie through, go through the frame, thank you, cameraman. Doesn't hurt to have a helping hand. I'm just going to tidy up like that. Alright. Okay, next up you have this group of wires here. This one is for your left control. Now, I'm going to show you something. You'll see there's 2 yellow wires that are butt connected here. This is for AC. I'm going to take this apart, and there's going to be a wire that is labeled, let me see if you can see it, 12 volt DC. I'm going to take that and plug it into the yellow one here. This is going to allow your lights to run off direct current, and it's going to make it a lot easier for your bulbs because you might have potential to blow up bulbs or an LED. Now, this is still a hot wire, this yellow one, so you're going to want to make sure you cap this and tape it off so it doesn't jump anywhere in the frame. And then you're going to get your left control switch, which is right here. The nice thing about the Atr harness, just like everything else, plugs right in. I just want to add that with hooking this up to the DC current with the LED, if you were to leave it with the AC, your light would be pulsing because it's running off the stator. When you run it with just the black DC, it's going to be a constant, so the minute you turn the key on, the light is going to have power, and it's going to stay steady. It's not going to be pulsing with the stator. Also with the LEDs, there's no high beam, low beam unless you have multiple LEDs. So this is going to be your only power source. This green with the black is your OEM Speedo light, which would technically bolt up to your old Speedo. You're probably not going to be using this. Primarily, a lot of people first off switch to disc brakes. Also, the Gy6 is a lot faster motor, and within time the Speedo is going to break because it only reads up to 40, and a lot of times the pin gets stuck. So you're not going to have to worry about this. Next up, you're going to have the ride control, which is the green with yellow, green, white with black, and yellow with orange, or I guess you say red tracer. This is going to plug into your OEM clip right here. Now if you plan on eliminating your stock ride control with your start button and kill switch, what you're going to have to do is take the two green wires are going to be your starting function, so you're going to put that to your momentary starting button. If you don't have a kill switch, then what you're going to do is take the white and the orange and make a jumper wire to complete those two, because you need that to be a closed circuit. A couple reasons why you would have to take this ride control off and use just a start, like a momentary start button, or kill if you do end up using a kill switch, is because people go to disc brake and they'll get rid of their stock controls. Also, they might want to change up their throttle tube, and with doing that you can't use your stock ride control, so they'll use a momentary button. Little product push, bam! You can use your NCY throttle tube. There's bearing ones that are also really well, and this is a nice way to clean up your handlebars with having like a disc brake setup. Next up we have your Oem Headlight Connector. This is just going to plug right into your Oem Headlight Harness. Then you're going to have your green ground feature with the two prongs for your grounds for your blinkers. Then you're going to have your light blue for your right signal and your orange for your left. Now if you are running LED lights or a LED headlight, the blue with the white tracer here is going to be your power feature. Now when doing this, your light is only going to turn on with your high or low beam switch is engaged. So when you turn your high beam on, it's going to turn on your light. Then you're going to want to ground it to either a frame, if it's a raw metal, like ground it down, or the safest spot to place it is the negative on the battery terminal for your light. So you can see here, here's the Oem Headlight Clip. It's going to plug right in just like so. So like we showed you before, the harness comes with a light and dark green for the horn, and your factory clip has two wires that would go to the horn. You're not going to use these because the harness already has its own, so you're not going to have to worry about this. And you're just going to take these and you'll plug it up to the horn. This is your Icebox Relay. You can see here it has a little green LED in it. So when you prime the ignition and turn it on, once you have everything buttoned down, this LED should turn on and you should hear a click. That means it's getting power. If this LED is not on, then like I said before, you might have something wrong with your brake switch, or you might want to check your grounds. Also, you always have to check to make sure that these are pronged on correctly. So on this side, the top side, it's going to be black, pink, and red. There's going to be an open one, so don't go looking for another wire. That one stays open. You spin it around. Across from the black, you're going to have a white with a black tracer. Across from the pink, it's going to be a solid green. Across from the red, it's going to be a green with a black tracer. And at the very end, it's going to be a black with a white tracer. This light, you can tuck away wherever you want. You can run it through the harness. I usually like to keep mine going through and sitting like this, so that if my battery box is off, I can see right in front of me if that green light is on. So the very last part of this harness up front is this one that's the green, thin green one, and the thicker black one here. that one's going to be the ground. Now this one's very important. You want to make sure you put it directly to the frame, not to the cage. I'd like a solid ground right to the frame here. And you want to make sure that there's no, if you do have it powder coated, you're going to want to make sure that you grind it down to the metal, and I like to put it right here on this frame bolt. So I would take it, break away the sticker here, and you can see there's more electrical tape, so I'm going to cut that free, and I'll show you in a minute how to place it over here. Okay, so now you crack this bolt loose. Probably can get it hand tight, yeah. Take the bolt out, and like I said, if your frame is powder coated, you want to make sure you grind away all in here so it's down to the raw metal. Next, I'm going to take the thicker black ground and bring it through, as well as the thin green ground. I'm going to run it through here. Put my bolt through. Just trying to get this so it doesn't bend the wire. There we go. Alright, now that you have that ground on, naturally you're all done. You should be good to go. You want to double check everything, make sure the wires are good. We have all this excess right now because we don't have the headlights on there, the blinkers, the horn, or anything like that, and we haven't cut away at anything yet. Before you cut on anything on the harness, you always want to make sure that everything starts up and goes first, because you might cut something that's a necessity. Later on, I'll put together a video showing you how I tidy all this up with taping it up and tucking it away to make it a cleaner look. Like I said, first you want to make sure everything works before you go tucking it all away, because then you're going to have to unwrap it all, take it out, and go through all that hassle again.